Welcome into OutKick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Wednesdays, wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. We got a lot to get to. The NFL playoffs, the ongoing drama of impeachment, part 2, Deshaun Watson, James Harden, Kyrie Irving drama, $220 million in Bitcoin unable to be unlocked, and the New York Times inaccurately reports that Mike Leach, Mississippi State head football coach, has been hired as the chief diversity and inclusion officer of the Joe Biden administration. But we begin right off the top with the NFL playoffs just a few days away, Saturday and Sunday, 2 games and divisional round on Saturday, 2 games and divisional round on Sunday. You can get hooked up right now. $5 wager for new users wins you back $125. That is a 25-1 payout. Listen to me closely. If you are in Michigan or Virginia, they are going to flip you live any day now. Nobody seems to know the exact moment or the exact day, but if you are in the states of Michigan and Virginia, or you sometimes visit the states of Michigan or Virginia, you need to sign up right now at FanDuel.com/Clay. That's FanDuel.com/Clay. You can get ready to roll when sports gambling officially is legal in your state. Do it now. FanDuel.com/Clay. All right, impeachment drama, part 2. I said back in, November of 2019, I told you exactly how impeachment was going to pan out, that nothing was going to come of it, and Trump was going to be running for re-election in 2020. This impeachment drama makes even less sense because the President of the United States will no longer have his term come noon on Wednesday of next week. That's less than a week from now. And so there's nothing that's coming of this other than a lot of politicians strutting around like peacocks, just like the last time. And I don't know why so many people are fascinated by dramatic situations where you already know how they're going to end. There's no drama involved when you know how this story ends. And this story is going to end with Joe Biden being inaugurated on January 20th. And there's not going to be an impeachment of Donald Trump. They're not going to and somehow keep him from running in 2024. The votes aren't there. So I don't understand why we're going down this pathway yet again of what I feel like is just a long path of showmanship, regardless of what you think. And I would just circle back around to this. We spent months in the summer with Democratic politicians encouraging people all over the country to riot and protest and fulminate discord. In fact, the soon-to-be Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, paid out money to people who were arrested. Can you imagine the reaction to get them out of jail? Can you imagine the reaction if Donald Trump posted bail for anybody that had been arrested in the Capitol uprisings? People would lose their minds over his doing that, yet almost no one said anything about all the politicians and all the celebrities who were donating gobs of money to pay the bail for people who were arrested for violating the law while protesting. And so I don't get this. My one hope is that maybe people have now circled back around to being a violent protester is actually something that should be punished under the law. You have a right to protest. You don't have a right to break the law. And I've been saying that for months. I said it all through the summer. And for the people who broke the law last Wednesday, they should have consequences for their behavior as well. But this idea that somehow Donald Trump is responsible for this, I don't buy it, frankly. I looked at all of the comments. I read the transcript of everything he said at the rally. To me, there's a lot of blame to go around, including the District of Columbia Mayor, Bowser, who made the decision not to have substantial amounts of security present for this rally. If they had had normal amounts of security present, in fact, if they had done, ironically enough, what Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton had suggested, which is use the military to help restore order, then none of this would have happened. And the real irony here is, if you remember when Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, wrote a New York Times editorial suggesting that the military should be called in, to provide stability and security in the midst of all the protests this summer, they actually fired the editor of the New York Times editorial page for allowing that opinion to be shared on their editorial page. Now, it's what Washington, D.C. is doing. And there's virtually no criticism of that decision. In fact, everyone is now saying, oh, why wasn't the military called in before to prevent this from ever happening? And this is what I believe goes to the essence of the issues that are at the root of so much that is going wrong in America today. It's that we don't have a consistent standard rule of law that is applied regardless of your identity, regardless of your political leanings. Everyone has to be treated the same under the law. That's the entire purpose of precedent. You can't justify what someone does because they're a Democrat and you're a Democrat, and you can't justify what someone does because you're a Republican and they're a Republican. And this is what I've been saying for years. That's why I always say, like, I'm going to put my lawyer hat on here and talk about the importance of precedent and not being a hypocrite in the way you respond to issues. And so going forward, we need, I believe, more consistency, not less. Apply the same rules to everyone. That's where all of the animus is coming from. There are people out there, and I think they're legitimately correct, that are saying, wait a minute, the response to last Wednesday is totally different than the response to months of rioting that was going on in the streets. And they're right. And so if you can't have a consistent path, that's why we have written laws, so that people are aware of what is allowed and what is not allowed. And if you can't go ahead and punish people who violate the law, regardless of their background or regardless of their political beliefs or regardless of their identity, then you don't have a functional rule of law. And you delegitimize all actions being taken by the government unless they're being taken by your side of the government. Which is why I circle back around here and say, we need to have established clear precedents. And the media is a big part of this, because the media is not calling balls and strikes anymore. They are involved in the game themselves, right? And the judge, if you remember the metaphor, I think that Judge John Roberts used, is the courts should be an umpire. They should be ensuring that the rules are being applied evenly. They shouldn't be involved on the field of play. And I think what's changed in a big way in the last several years as social media has risen up is all of the people who are in media that are supposed to be non-biased and are supposed to be just reporting the news. You have been able to see that they are not, in fact, unbiased observers of the news. They are not referees. They are not umpires. They are playing on the field and slanting the results as a result of those actions. And so this is pretty straightforward to me. This whole impeachment drama is without any legitimacy to me. The president's going to be gone on January 20th. Joe Biden is going to be sworn in. And the idea that Donald Trump should be impeached is a broken, I believe, broken idea that reflects how broken our system of government and our media at many times is, based on the fact that we're not applying clear principles and standards regardless of who is involved. All right, down in Houston. There is major drama in Houston. Great town. Deshaun Watson not happy with the head coaching search, and several other players, including Andre Johnson, are not either. We'll see how this ends up shaking out as they go forward in terms of which head coach will be named. But it's clear that Deshaun Watson has rattled a lot of cages down there. Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins have followed up with it. The interviews are continuing. We'll see who is ending up with that job. Meanwhile, Bill O'Brien, who was the head coach of the Houston Texans, has now been officially announced as the next offensive coordinator at Alabama. So shifting gears there, Bill O'Brien now the member of the next rehabilitation coaching life cycle for Nick Saban in Alabama. James Harden is also, like literally as we speak, potentially being traded. He has demanded that he be traded. He has shown up out of shape. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins have taken shots at James Harden. Word is that Philadelphia appears like they might be the favorite, the 76ers, if not New Jersey, we'll have to see what ends up happening there. But what is interesting to me about this is there are a lot of people making a lot of money who seem profoundly unhappy in the NBA. In fact, of all of the different pro sports leagues, it seems to me that NBA players appear to be the most consistently unhappy. Why is that? I wonder on some level whether it is their supreme involvement in social media, which has been shown to overall make people far more unhappy than it is making them happier. Because most people out there think, hey, if I was making $100 million a year, I would be happy. I wouldn't be sitting around unhappy at the way I was being treated. But James Harden, by the way, opening a restaurant in Houston at the same time that he is being traded, that will be intriguing to see what actually ends up happening there. But the city of Houston with a lot going on right now. All right, you see this. A lot of you wondering, how in the world, Clay Travis, are you in such supreme physical condition? Well, the reason is because of the fantastic product here with TrueFit. Right now, you can go to rspnutrition.com and you can get 20% off everything with the code CLAY. That's my name, CLAY. Again, I've been eating this product, meal replacement, effectively. It's incredibly tasty. My wife is in far better shape than I am. She has tried shakes like these over the years. These were created by former athletes, D1 athletes, and those guys obviously know all about eating healthy. And this is absolutely phenomenal stuff. This is chocolate flavored. You can also carry these around with you if you're on the go, if you're busy, and you want to get in the best possible physical condition you can. Trust me on this. rspnutrition.com is the way to go. That's rspnutrition.com. Use the code CLAY, C-L-A-Y, for 20% off. You want to get nervous, by the way. How about if you had only two guesses remaining to unlock $220 million in Bitcoin? That is where one man finds himself. You can go read about this on OutKick in the wake of a password forget. You know how frustrating it is when you forget your passwords, or you have to change them, or you can't remember if you have a capital letter, or there's a number required, or whatever the situation is there. It is incredibly frustrating, all right? Just infuriating beyond belief. $220 million this guy has. If you type in the wrong password 10 times, then they take it back and you're never able to access it again. He only has two more guesses with $220 million at stake in Bitcoin. First of all, some of you said this sounds like a movie. The best comment I saw was, this sounds like a Nick Cage movie. I can definitely see Nick Cage playing the guy who's got $220 million at stake. This is my nightmare. I hate when passwords are forgotten anyway. I've told this story before, but we couldn't remember our Amazon Prime password last year. And my wife was telling me I had to figure out what it was, and I had to track it down. And it was through old email addresses and everything else. And I was like, I would rather you just start a brand new Amazon Prime account and spend $99 for your own account. You never have to ask me what the password is again, because I've had an Amazon password forever, and I have access to it on my phone, but I don't have the ability to get to it on any other device. And I was like, the last thing I want is to suddenly have to remember what my password is. If you told me I had $220 million in Bitcoin at stake, I would absolutely lose my mind. There is no doubt at all. But this is an incredible story. You need to go check it out. It's up at OutKick.com. Finally, the New York Times, bastion of journalistic integrity, accidentally reported that Mike Leach, the current Mississippi State head football coach, had been named the chief diversity and inclusion officer of Joe Biden's incoming administration. Literally, they wrote out that Mike Leach, formerly of Texas Tech and Washington State, current Mississippi State head football coach, was now the chief diversity and inclusion officer. That is a sitcom in and of itself. I don't think that it's going to end up happening, that Mike Leach is going to be joining the Joe Biden administration. I think he's going to stay down in Stark Vegas. But if you want a good laugh, you can go read about that as well. I appreciate all of you. Get your bets in. FanDuel.com/Clay. $5 wins you $125. Make sure that you get out there and make a smart decision there. FanDuel.com/Clay. This has been OutKick. Go sign up with my guys at rspnutrition.com. I had one of these for lunch today, and this is why I'm in such incredible peak physical condition. Seriously, it was fantastic. rspnutrition.com/Clay. It's organic. It's healthy. It'll put you in better shape. Good way to chase off the New Year's pounds and go ahead and embrace those resolutions. Get healthier with rspnutrition.com/Clay. I am Clay Travis. This is OutKick on Fox Sports Radio. Not Fox Sports Radio. I'm so used to saying Fox Sports Radio. It's not the case. This is just OutKick. And this